Animal Care Services is very much the epicenter of animal welfare in Marion County and frankly in central Indiana.
So we have a shelter building that is 30 years old, that is beyond its useful life, and frankly was never built to operate as a center that is an adoption center, an animal medical center, all of the things that a modern municipal animal care facility should be. It is not.
We don't have an adequate intake space for animals entering the building. Ideally, we would have an area where we could hold the animals, observe them, make sure that they don't have signs of contagious illness before they're put into the regular population.
So our first exercise toward a new shelter was to sit down with existing staff to talk about what's needed and essentially take a blank piece of paper and design a space and program plan for a modern municipal animal shelter.
We don't have a regulated area for housing sick animals right now, so if we do have a situation like an animal coming in with parvovirus, we have to find a rescue partner to take them. We can only usually give them a couple of hours in a garage bay that's not air conditioned. There aren't enough air exchanges in the kennels for proper disease control, so we're always struggling with kennel cough, which is similar to a cold for humans. And then we have to treat these animals, spend money on medication, and then try to find adopters that are willing to adopt sick animals.
Looking at size and cost, we're also looking at several potential locations, better sites for the shelter, because in this case it's not simply built next to a landfill, it's built on top of a landfill, and that's not good either. So.
Being on top of an old landfill, we struggle with the grounds and maintaining them. It's not uncommon after a heavy rainstorm for the dog runs outside that are grass to have glass come up from where the landfill used to be and dogs to cut their paws.
Our staff have been doing a really good job of taking care of all the animals that come here, but unfortunately we get too many animals that we can't safely house.
The next step is to engage a professional architect to begin to actually design what the shelter would look like, and through a design process that could begin as early as next year, we'll get a sense of the true size, the true need, and the true cost of what a new shelter would be.
Animal sheltering best practices require that animals of different species be housed separately, especially when we have a predator and prey situation. We never know what type of animals we're going to get in on a daily basis, so we're constantly moving animals around. We have one room for exotics that's usually filled with rabbits. Right now we have snakes living in our animal control officer area, we have parakeets living in our front office, we have chickens living outside. It's a constant struggle to find the appropriate areas to house those exotic animals.
It faces challenges that are extraordinary, and it faces them well under the circumstances, but we are at a point of desperation in our animal population and controlling our animal population.
Our kennels, our dog kennels, are constantly full. They're literally crumbling beneath the dog's feet. The walls are crumbling. This is off of a kennel. When it was being cleaned, the cinder block actually fell apart, and once this side is exposed, it's porous and can no longer be disinfected properly, which means that every animal that's put in that kennel from now on is going to be at risk of illness from the animals before.
The next steps in the due diligence process are design and cost estimation, with the hope after that to be under construction.
So Fido works out in the field, and oftentimes we find animals living in really poor conditions, And in these cases, we want to get these dogs out of their current situations so that they're living in much better conditions. But unfortunately, with the current city shelter, oftentimes what we see is that they're not really going to much better conditions than where they came from, and that's a problem.
Animal Care Services is indispensable in that. For the rest of us, the Humane Society and the many other wonderful agencies that operate in Marion County, we do everything we can do to help them. But until they have what they need financially, until they have what they need in terms of a proper building, a 21st century facility for animal welfare, the rest of us, frankly, are just running in place.
When the city invests in animal welfare, we make great things happen. Our city's animals need you.